Yeah, so I decided this afternoon, for the best question, I will determine who actually asks the best question. And when I choose somebody, you get this from me. It's from a movie that none of you have ever seen. It's called Megaforce. Well, you better come up with a good question, damn it. This should be yours. Oh, the pressure is on. Absolutely.
I wish people could have seen the look on his face there. There's a like about it could change tonight if he wins that.
It's well, you know, it's one of those movies that struck a chord in a 12-year-old boy or a 10-year-old boy. How old were you in 1982? Was this 83? You were. You were about 14. You saw this all on cable or something afterwards. No? Oh, yeah?
It was a Hal Needham movie. It was I think his last movie. And he should have cast Burt Reynolds as the lead guy. You know, smoking, because he did 5 movies with Burt Reynolds. But I think Burt turned it down, as did Tom Selleck and a few other people. And then they found me. Go figure, you know. Only because I was doing a production of Pirates of Penzance on the stage in Los Angeles. And during the musical, I had a headband, like a peacock blue headband in it as the Pirate King. And I, at one point, take it off and throw it into the audience. I aim for the best-looking woman I could find who's within shot distance, with my headband. And on this matinee, I threw my headband out as some anonymous human being, and I found out later that it was Hal Needham's wife. And she apparently went home and said to Hal, "I have found your ace hunter," because everybody else has turned it down. But I don't know if that's true or not. But he found
the next best.
I was the triple next best, yeah. And so he hired me to do this movie, which was really one of the first sort of G.I. Joe movies. And it's if you like tongue-in-cheek and a lot of blowing up and wonderful vehicles and things like that, then you have to see this movie. We're doing a documentary called The Making of Megaforce, and we say it's the documentary that nobody was asking for. And it'll be out by the end of the year, and it's actually a very sweet movie. And you can see it. Go on to Megaforce HQ Facebook page and see the trailer, and you'll see the fun that all of this is. There were vehicles in this that were designed by Mattel Toys, actually, and they the Army wouldn't back us at all because they thought we had stolen some of their designs for some of this warfare stuff, and so we had to use the local people in Las Vegas to spur the helicopters and stuff. But yeah, look it up, Megaforce. Do you have a question yet? No, think about it. Don't commit yourself, because there's a big prize at the end.
I had an observation about it, and I always felt like I was a big fan of Buckaroo Banzai across the...
Buckaroo Banzai.
And I always felt like your Megaforce influenced the look and feel, the way they approach Buckaroo Banzai with the vehicles and just
Yeah.
staging.
Yeah.
That kind of intentionally looking like a B-movie, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like having that kind of gritty...
Yeah. Well, this is not a question. You do not get the poster. This is just you're just talking to me. Yeah, you're observing and you're giving me your opinion, which is wonderful. I love your opinion, but you have to come up with a question. Okay, all right. That's enough of that. I'm just being. It's 6:30 on a Friday night, and I'm just going to be sarcastic for the next 45 minutes.
What's your excuse the rest of the day?
What's that?
What's your excuse to be sarcastic the rest of the day?
Can I sit down now? Jesus.
Please.
All
Yes,
right. No, I don't want to sit down. I'm going to just come out. I should come out and sit with all of you guys. Are you, how many Rocky Horror people are there out here? You're kidding. Really? You know, we're going on our 50th year almost. It's like
Next
49
September,
Is that right?
2025. Yeah.
Jesus, 2025. Okay, I have to sit down now. That makes me, yeah. Wow.
Well, I was going to ask about that with the 50th anniversary coming up. If you can say anything, if there's something planned, is there any sort of celebration that you are aware of that?
Well, you know, Disney owns a movie now. You know?
I did not know
No, yeah, they bought it from Fox.
Okay.
And I think that Walt Disney is turning over in his cyber grave at the moment. Trying
His
to
head is
figure
turning in that
what,
glass thing.
in that, you know, he's flash, what was he, flash frozen or something?
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's a Disney movie now, go figure. And I don't know what they have anything planned, you know. I think
Wait, does that make Janet a Disney princess?
No, it makes Frankenfurter a Disney princess.
That was the next question.
Yeah,
yes.
Well, it's all Disney movies. There's always an evil queen in every Disney movie, right? So here we are with Rocky Horror Picture Show with Frankenfurter. So 50th. I don't know. This August, we're doing a convention in London, and Susan will be there, Tim will be there, Pat, Nell, myself, and who played Rocky? What was his name? Come on, somebody who played what? Peter Hinwood. Thank you. In the back. I haven't seen Peter Hinwood since we left the set. You know. And he sort of like divorced himself from the whole Rocky Horror experience and became an antique dealer and then moved. Well, you know everything. Tell me something about Peter Hinwood. Do you know anything about him? Yeah, that's all I know too. But I know that nobody really got any of the props or the costumes or anything because it's a very low budget movie and they had borrowed most of the stuff from other shows. But he apparently walked away with one of his high heels, I think, and sold it on eBay for quite a bit of money. I didn't get anything other than yes? Oh, the gold May thing, the gold pants things? Oh, yeah, maybe he did. I sell my underwear.
It's true, he does.
At my table. It's underwear that I buy at Target, and I sign them, and I put whatever you want on them, and it's helping me put my kids through college, And
that's the dream, right? Growing up, you're like, man, I want to sell my underwear one day.
You couldn't. No, could you?
No, I'm just saying that's everybody's dream.
I wouldn't. Yeah. I wouldn't buy your underwear if you.
I'm not selling any, Barry.
Well, okay. Well, all right. I'd buy your underwear.
Oh, thank you, Barry.
Really?
I appreciate that. How much we talking?
No,
don't worry about it. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, okay. It's private. It's a private sale.
All right. Well, you do it publicly, nobody else. Okay. All right.
Okay.
He's got these.
Yes.
When you were filming the Rocky Horror Picture Show, did you know that you would have a hit on your hands?
I think we knew that we were making something really weird and special and wonderful and a musical, but we always thought it was sort of like The Sound of Music for 1975 because it was such a snapshot of what was going on culturally at the moment, I mean, Bowie and all those guys were out there, doing that stuff, and we knew that Tim was killing it. Tim was so good in it. I mean, it was just because he had done it on stage for a couple of years before that, and he just wanted to, nail it and put it on film and then move on with his life, and which he did. And I think all of the people involved, from the costumes to sets and cinematographer, they were all sort of at the top of their young game at the moment, and so you knew you were working with artists who, weren't stuck in the past at all. I mean, the props and everything in this, every time you see this movie, you're going to find something new in it to see or hear or feel, or it could be love, it could be disgust. Who knows? A lot of people are offended by this movie. I am not. I actually love this movie, and I love that it's about something ultimately that I think has made a change in our world in a way. Certainly in the worlds of an awful lot of kids and people who saw this movie and realized that they weren't alone in their confusion or their awkwardness or they didn't have a group to identify with. And so they would go to this movie on a Friday or Saturday night, and they found their crowd, they found their people, and a lot of friendships were started not only in the shadow cast, but also just in the audience in general. And there was an awful lot of marijuana, I think, and liquor. Sold probably just around the corner from the theater, and it has become, and starting in 76, 77, just a big party, and people would go and just, blow it out. They would just have a great time, and they would start screaming things and throwing things, and then they would have to go back to their real world once they went out onto the street at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And luckily, hopefully, they would make it home safely. But with having had this wonderful experience of 2 or 3 hours of total insanity, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So, in answer to your question, no, we didn't know. We were just. It was 5 weeks of my life. I didn't even know when it opened up in the theaters. I was probably doing something in New York on stage, It didn't catch up to me until a few years later when one of the shadow casts at the Tiffany Theater in Los Angeles invited me down, and they were now doing this whole thing, with the audience participation, and they presented me with a gold record, and I knew that they were going to give me something. I didn't know what it was. And so I framed my underwear and gave them that. That was the beginning of my obsession with selling my underwear. And Mo, I'm so sorry. I am not going to buy your underwear. I know I just promised you 5 minutes ago.
Man,
I know. I'm going back on my word. It's funny, Columbia, Nell was, she started selling her underwear at conventions and I said, well, were you in your underwear in this movie? She goes, no, but you're doing so well selling your underwear. I'll sell my underwear, so.
You may have been the original OnlyFans, I think.
I think I'm the only actor who can sell his underwear in a non-creepy way. I mean, it's not in it's not in machines in Tokyo, where people are selling their underwear.
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, maybe it's funny. I've sold quite a bit of underwear over the years, and I've never seen it on eBay. Nobody's tried to resell my underwear. They're so taken with it,
Obviously.
Yeah, and they put it up on their wall, and it starts a lot of interesting
right on their mantle or above the dinner table, yeah.
It does, and it starts an awful lot of interesting conversation, I think, Yes. Oh, I should. First time, it would have to be Fruit of the Loom, I think, right? Yeah. But I don't even remember what underwear. I do remember they wanted me to put me in underwear when we shot the movie from Marks and Spencer in London, and I thought, no, it's got to be an American brand, and they had something shipped over from New York, and I don't remember whether it was Fruit of the Loom or Jockey. I don't know who it was, but you would know this, right, Mo? Because you're an underwear aficionado.
I'm not as much as you may think I am, no.
Oh, okay. But it's funny how the shadow cast people, the people who really know this movie and know everything about this movie would be able to tell you what brand underwear I had.
If we had any of the PSL, the pumpkin spice latte people that have come out to all of our shows, they would probably know.
What was it? Oh, Fruit of the Loom. So you would throw fruit. Can't do that anymore. Can't throw rice. You can't have light fires, because apparently some people, they would do the newspaper over their heads, and then they would do lighting the fire, and then they would light the newspaper on fire, and the theaters frowned on that, apparently, because I think, I don't know what you can do. I think now so much of it you have to simulate it. I mean, I think you throw pictures of hot dogs. I think you can still do the Scott toilet paper. So that the theater people are they're there for 5 hours afterwards picking up toilet paper. But anything edible, I don't think you're allowed to throw anymore. It's too bad because that's half the fun. It's like aiming at somebody 3 people away from you, with a cabbage or something, okay, Fruit of the Loom? Fruit of the Loom. Okay, good, because I just got 5 packages of it from Amazon, and I've only sold 2 underwear today, so please come and buy. I've got a lot of Fruit of the Looms. All right, it's Friday. So that's good to know. Okay, so Fruit of the Loom. These are the little tidbits that I need to know. Thank you. Oh God, yes.
You portrayed George Washington twice. You portrayed FDR. Is there a president that you would like to portray? And I would follow too.
It's funny. Reagan's daughter did a play, a one-man show about Reagan. And I turned it down because I didn't want to be Reagan. I didn't think his life was that. Well, first of all, I didn't like his politics, but I didn't think his life was that had that much. One, he was shot once. Come on, he wasn't killed, for Christ's sake. That would have been a good ending. But to shoot and then just recover, it wasn't a good enough. Wasn't a good enough one man play. But and that was the point that. Reagan, who else would I want to be? I couldn't do Kennedy. I couldn't do the dialogue. I don't know. Would there be another? Probably some really obscure. Who was the president that died in office? He became president and then he died months later. Who's that? Oh, yeah, sure. That's who I want to be because it won't sell one ticket, because who the hell knows who that person is, But the thing is, I could play him, gay in a bustier, and people would buy it because they don't know who the hell he was anyway in the first place, So, but George Washington, I'm amazed that I even got that job because that happened after Rocky Horror. And obviously the people who were putting that together hadn't seen me in a bustier and high heels. So they gave me the George Washington thing. And the War and Remembrance thing was another, interesting job that I might not have gotten because, again, I was screwed by a transvestite at one point, in a movie. There's no kids here, are there? Usually I use some words, and I look down and there's a child in the second row, and I go, oh Jesus, it's not fair. The mayor, mayors, who did I play? Mayor Winston in Spin City, right? 6 years of that. I was always afraid that I was going to be assassinated if I didn't get a laugh, because those are the kinds of characters that you play, and then if you sort of misbehave or you don't do your job well, you're not reelected or you're assassinated or something happens to them. So I know the whole first year, all of us on Spin City were nervous as hell because we were all hired basically in the office of the mayor. And Mike Fox was our executive producer. And so we were always very nervous that if we didn't, stand up to Mike and be as good as he was, we would all not make it into the second season. But luckily, we all did, except for the women, because Mike wanted to have a fresh woman every year. And God bless him, he could do it. He was the executive producer. Whether it's Heidi Klum or whoever, he would always have these wonderfully, I had a couple of really nice, I had, who was the one from Charlie's Angels? Farrah. I had Farrah Fawcett for 3 or 4 episodes where she played my girlfriend. And that was interesting because she was so charming and screwed up at the time, unfortunately. And what a wonderful actress, but I think she was not happy. But I loved her. She was wonderful, Farrah Fawcett. She was one of those actresses, one of those people, when I was first starting out as an actor living in New York City and, not making a living. And I remember I went to Bloomingdale's one day, and I was walking around, and there was this stunning blonde who was there with a couple of people walking around shopping and stuff, and I found some way to go up to her, and in the women's department, and asked her, well, do you think this thing would fit my girlfriend who's 5.5, whatever? And she said, oh, yes, I think that would probably work for her. And that was my whole conversation with this. And it was Farrah Fawcett before she was anybody. And I remember later on that she was so unbelievably stunning and just took your breath away when you saw her and met with her. And who was in the George Washington with me? Another one of the original Angels. Who? Jacqueline Smith? Oh my God. Jacqueline Smith. Come on. Huh? I mean, 2 of the most beautiful and lovely and charming and smart, women that I ever had the honor to work with, yeah. And they're trying to do a biography with her. Now, a friend of mine was writing a biography with her, and they couldn't come up with enough juicy crap, So they constantly are not being able to get a book on her life because they just want to come up with the gossip and everything, and it's too bad because that's not the kind of person she is, So yeah, I've been very fortunate, and then I worked with Patty Duke in George Washington. She played Martha, and she's a consummate actress, and she's just one of those actors that you don't even feel like you're acting with them. They're so real and so honest and so available and so looking at you and just, and she was nominated for an Emmy for that. And I went to the Emmys with her on that. I was not nominated for an Emmy, bastards. But I at least was there to watch her and not get her Emmy that night. It was stupid. I mean, she is the best. She was just so talented. I've been very fortunate so far. I don't have a good question from anybody yet. We're running out of time. Yes, back there. Anything to do with what? Being married to someone named Majors. Oh God. No, I don't know who she. I don't think she was married at the time. Was she? No, she wasn't. You know all about her. Who? Oh, she was married. Well, yeah, Ryan. Boy, there's another piece of work. Ryan. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody. I'm not going to. I don't know him. I just know that she was, confused, and it was unfortunate. I don't think she had revealed her illness yet. Huh? What 10? I don't know. What years? I think it's probably the 5th season of Spin City, which was, I don't know when it was. I don't even know my children's name anymore. Yeah. Mo, you know these things, right? Because you've done your homework, right?
A little bit of homework. Your kids are Brian and Chelsea, right?
Who? Brian and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
You're
God, I forgot all about them for a minute there. Yeah. Brian and Chelsea. Brian is getting his doctorate in physics at Heidelberg University. Wow. He got his master's at Cambridge last year, and my daughter Chelsea, or our daughter Chelsea, she's studying to be a vet at Colorado State. So they're smart, and I sit here and talk about transvestites.
Fruit of the Loom and transvestites, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
But if it wasn't for my underwear, I wouldn't be here, and they wouldn't be where they are. God damn it! Right. All right. Yes.
Either on stage or in the movies, what would be your favorite role?
My favorite role on stage or in the movie? I would probably have to say Zuko in Grease. I was the original lead in Grease on Broadway in 1970, 71. Yeah, the part that Travolta played in the movie. Yeah, so that was 2 years of pure joy working on Broadway with that show, and then did a little bit of the national tour, and then John was in the first national tour with me. He played Duty, another character in it. And then he had all this success in television, and then when they were making the movie, they might not have made it without him, because he was such a breakout star at that time, and he was so charming and so good, and because of all the time that he and I spent on the road, he basically stole everything I did in the musical for the movie.
Did he ever send you a Christmas card or thank you?
No, he never. No, he did not. He hasn't given me a ride in his jet or anything. Yeah, please talk to him. Yeah. No, but I've seen him many, many, many times since then. We had the same manager at the time, and he was when he finally hit. Boy, did he hit big! And he was. And he deserved every bit of it, because he's such a charming and a heartfelt, a real human being, not just an actor,
Obviously,
Yeah.
he's great, and you have nothing but love for him. But as an actor who did originate that role, when it was given to him, talented or not, was there a sense of disappointment? Did you try to fight for that role, or were you?
No, I was too old. When we did it on Broadway, we were all in our mid-20s, I think, And so by the time the movie was made, we were in our late 20s, and that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it.
All right.
All right. No, I think that's. Yes. Are you waving your hand? What? You have a question?
I think she's giving us a notice that we got 15 minutes.
But really?
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing? Are you doing the shuffle? What are you doing back there? You're doing the Michael Jackson. Good for you. I couldn't do that. Good for you. We got 10 minutes or so. Nobody's gotten this damn poster yet. Yes.
It was an awesome movie, Megaforce. You got to drive a lot of vehicles around. Which ones were your favorite ones to drive? And then did you get to borrow them at the times you wanted?
Well, I rode the motorcycle poorly. They were not great motorcycles. They were some Yamaha, like 125s or something. It was like, because Hal got a deal. He got 30 motorcycles for, cheap. And so they rigged them up with all this stuff. And if you talk to the stunt guys at the time, they're going, these are the most dangerous motorcycles we have ever ridden, because there's an extra 100 pounds of crap on them. If you know the movie, there's a scene where they're all coming across the desert and all this beautiful red, white, and blue smoke is coming out of them. Well, it was killing most of those guys because that smoke was going right in their eyes and their mouths and their lungs. Many of them ended up in emergency hospital, sort of to get all that stuff out of them. The mega destroyers, the little dune buggy things, were quite amazing, actually. They were like, I think they had Volkswagen parts. The guy who's making this movie, making Megaforce, he's got 3 of the original vehicles. He's got my original motorcycle, my original helmet, and all this other stuff from the movie. And he was very affected by the movie when he was young. And so this movie's really almost a bromance rather than just the making of kind of movie. But I never could fit in one of those dune buggy things. Hal went out with him one day before we started shooting, and he went out in one of those things, and he rolled it 2 or 3 times, and he broke his leg. And while we were shooting, and I'm sure all the stunt guys were just laughing like crazy, because Hal Needham, was the most famous stuntman in the world. He started Stunts Unlimited. I mean, he did things that nobody had ever thought of doing as a stunt person, And here he is, he's out farting around in one of these little vehicles, and he breaks his leg. He was a man's man, I must say. He was. Everybody was afraid of him. I don't blame him, because he could if you didn't behave, because it was all about the stunts, it was all about the vehicles, it was all about all of that stuff, and he was a general. I mean, he really, when it came to the actors, he didn't know what to do. I mean, we wrote this script in the car every day going to the set. A lot of those lines we just improvised. You love them in red, you love them in blue, and most of all you love them. I forget what the line is. The good guys always win, even in the 80s. That's probably a line I came up with at the time, because there wasn't anything else. We were just sitting there looking at these vehicles and trying to explain this war movie that didn't make any sense to any of us. Thank God the people in the movie, the actors, were smart and had a good tongue-in-cheek sense of humor, and they would come up with things on the fly, So what was your question? Did I answer it? Oh, about the vehicles. Did I? Yeah. No, and the TACCOM, the big one vehicle in it, the TACCOM. Bob Lindemeyer, who's making this movie, and I'm involved in it, finally found it after all these years, and it was in a swamp up in Canada, and he rescued it about 3 or 4 months ago, and brought it back down to Seattle, where he is, and he's starting to restore that. So he'll have the whole shebang. He'll have them all. And if you go on our website, Megaforce HQ, Facebook, you'll see a lot of different videos and things and YouTube-y things that he's made, where he's driving these mega destroyers like on the street. He's made them, and also where he got the rockets to work on a couple of them, and one of them he's in his driveway and he's shooting the rockets, and they're going right into the side of his house. And you know this? Have you seen this? The total commitment. And at one point, he shoots one of the rockets, and it goes over the fence, and he never found it. It's sitting in the neighbor's, living room somewhere, But this was not the safest movie to ever have been made. When I did the flying motorcycle bit at the end, they built this rig on the back of a truck and put me up on this thing with this big arm, and they didn't strap me in or anything. Luckily I survived that. But I think I remember correctly. I know we're talking a lot about Megaforce, but it's an interesting dilemma, Megaforce, because it was a movie that should have had a much bigger audience. But Hal at one point said, I don't want anybody to die. I don't want to see blood, even though it's a war movie, and so he insisted that it had a G rating. But when we were doing all the war scenes and stuff, people were dying. But he'd always find footage where if somebody was shot or, they'd get up and run away, and you'd go, I think... But that's why it was good for a 12-year-old, because it wasn't of its time. There wasn't a lot of blood and guts. So it was simply a good guy, bad guy movie, which was struck a chord, I think, in a lot of people. Yeah.
So beyond the vehicles,
Yeah.
uniforms were stellar.
Yeah. Excuse me. Come up here. Yeah, take this, right? Just because you seem to like
give him
this
a round of
movie.
applause, guys.
So
Yeah.
this is one of my favorite movies of all time. My question is,
His favorite movies. Yeah.
was there any way that you were able to wear underwear under those outfits? Because it didn't look like you could.
You can sit down now. Yeah, thank you. I hope you enjoyed that poster. And if you want to see some pictures, I have them underneath the table, at my booth, where... No, I don't know.
Was there ever talk about trying to do a modern reboot of Megaforce?
No, there was another script written, and I think, but they never, because it didn't make any money the first time around. They decided not to invest in it. I had a 3-picture deal. I had 1 picture out of my 3-picture deal.
Were there any reports of kids maybe my age at that time getting injured trying to recreate the flying motorcycle?
Well, there was a lot of ramps, in the backyards where people would. Did you have a ramp?
Oh my God! Yeah, and it was in a cemetery across from my house.
So you did it in a cemetery. So you were close to.
I was planning.
Oh, good for you. I'm glad you got this poster. Really. No, I love Megaforce. I love it because it's just so weird. It's just so tongue-in-cheek. It's a terrible movie. Not for everybody. No, no. I appreciate his enthusiasm, but it's not my best performance. Okay, let's just put it that way. Unless you think it is.
I'm gonna have to go watch it.
Oh, you haven't watched it yet.
With your hair.
Oh, my hair. Well, I like your hair too. Thank you. It's a whole.
We only have time for a few more questions.
No, there's no more questions. We're talking about my hair now.
Okay, just your hair. All right.
Come on,
Hair
I got great. I'm very follically fortunate.
Yes, you are. Whoa. Security.
Is it? Wait a minute. Really? Yeah. I'll sell you my hair. All right.
But you got to buy some underwear too.
You got to buy the underwear and a clock. I make clocks too. No, did you buy a clock? Well, come and buy a clock from me. I melt these records, and then I have this label I made that says time warp, and it's all very clever. You're very clever, time warp. It's very clever. Well, oh my God! I said, are you on pain pills? No.
Were you?
Would you like some?
Were you recreating some Megaforce stunts?
Yeah, you were.
Do not try this at home, sir.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're better. Thank you. Thank you for. No, well, it's amazing.
This guy's been trying to ask a question for like an hour now, I think.
Yeah. What's the question?
Congratulations on getting that post. I'm super jealous.
Yeah.
My question to you is,
I can sell you one at my booth. They're right next to my underwear. All right. Now go on. I'm sorry.
what movie are you very proud that you accomplished in your career? What do you think is your best one that you've ever
George Washington, I think, was 6-hour or 8-hour miniseries because it was the first time that Washington was really dealt with as a human being, but he wasn't just an icon, you know. And I think if you have a chance to see that, or did you see that, you should see it. I think it's a wonderful miniseries about the early founding fathers. And my only regret, as I have a regret about everything I do, is that they wouldn't let me get his nose. You know, George Washington had a very particular nose, you know, and but they said to me, well, we're shooting this in Virginia in the summertime, and we're not going to give you a nose. It's going to end up on the ground after every 2 hours. We're going to be repairing your nose. And So I didn't insist on my Washington nose. I wish I had, but it's a really good miniseries. A lot of wonderful actors in it, and
The new quarters.
what's that?
Changed Washington's nose on the new quarters. You may have one.
They changed his nose on the new quarter. Really?
It's just different.
I'm learning so much.
They might have modeled it after you.
No, I hope not. My God, yes.
When you were playing George, in the historical areas that you were
Right.
located, did you get to see some of the really cool history that nobody else gets to see?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were in all the original places. We were in Mount Vernon and places in Mount Vernon that nobody could go to. And we had the docents at all these places who had wonderful stories and remembrances. I mean, no, they didn't have remembrances because I was too far back. But they filled in for me emotionally, some of the wonderful things about Washington and Martha and their family life and this and that. And yeah, and then after we did it, I would go back to Mount Vernon many years afterwards and participated in some of their activities and this and that. I think they do show his wooden teeth, I think, there at Mount Vernon. I got up close and personal with them. I went to the Library of Congress before we did it, and they brought out some of Washington's original manuscript papers and things like that. And I was able to touch them and feel them and steal them. No, I didn't steal them, but I wanted to. But it was quite amazing to be able to. And then when we went to Mount Vernon the first time, they opened up. He was buried in Mount Vernon, and because of what we were doing, they opened up the gates of his tomb, and I was able to go in and put flowers on his actual grave. Yeah, it was amazing, just amazing. So I was very fortunate to have that as part of my personal and professional history. Thank you.
And I do want to apologize. I know some of you have your hands up, but we are out of time. But this gentleman will be back at his booth this weekend.
Right now.
Yeah, right now.
I'm
going
going, yeah, why
okay,
not?
well then ask directly at the table. And if you're not aware, we have a shadow cast of Rocky Horror Picture Show tomorrow night, 10:15, on the Super Stage.
Yeah, and we're doing like a VIP reception beforehand. That'll cost you a lot of money, and I'll say the same things tomorrow night that I'm saying
Absolutely.
here.
So pay for that to hear it again.
Yeah, but you'll get a signed poster and all that kind of stuff. And you get I think you get a prop bag.
You do.
You do. Do you get a prop bag?
I think so.
Yeah, and you get to throw shit at me and throw things at, and yeah. So it's
Don't
it's
quote
all,
him on that one. I don't
it's
know
all,
if you
It's
can do
all
that.
worth it. It's all worth it. Thank you all for coming and spending some time with me and with Mo, and thank you, Mo.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
But before you go, we're going to have to do a stage selfie. So if you guys actually want to come up near the stage,
Oh, God.
we want to get one more picture with you, baby.
Sure. Let me put this thing down here.